He has a lot of heart, and I think that he's going to be ready for this challenge. And he's fighting a guy, Yadong Song, who's coming in on very short notice. I didn't get to watch much of his fights, but he does seem like he has decent speed, decent power. He does wing his strikes, leave openings for counters, and he's aggressive. He goes for the takedown himself. He's decently active off of his back, and he has some good cardio. But I just think that Kandare is the better athlete here. I think he's going to be able to get it down in that first round, and I think he's actually going to be able to take him out with ground and pound in that first round. So I'm going to go with Bharat Kandare by first round TKO. And in this next fight, we have Zabit Magomedsharipov against Shaman Moraes. And Zabit is a nasty fucking striker, man. 6'1", 75-inch reach, huge for that featherweight division, super long, good jab, sick kicks. He varies them up real well. When he moves backwards, he lands a lot of his, round kicks, a lot of straight punches. And when he's moving forward, that's when he gets dynamic, man. That's when he lands his, his spinning shit, lands a lot of spinning kicks, a lot of, crazy techniques. Like he had the, jumping back kick off the cage, which was, real crazy. And, moving forward, he jabs a lot, uses his hands, and, he does a pretty good job of, switching, getting reversals on takedowns, and, he kind of gets your back, and he really starts to unload with some big shots on top, and, he actually has some real cool scrambles. Like he scrambled to take the back in his last fight in a, beautiful scramble, and you could just tell that he, blends his things together extremely well, and, he can get hit to the body with some body kicks. Against Santiago, he was definitely hit with some body kicks, and, I think he has to shore that up. And but he does have some great power in his hands, man, a great uppercut. And, he kind of reminds you of Anthony Pettis, man. He really does. He's a beast. And he's fighting against Shaman Moraes. He's a former World Series of Fighting fighter. And, he's no slouch either, man. He likes to fight long. He likes to kind of get your back against the cage and control distance with his kicks and keep you on the end of his kicks. And he has good power. And in the pocket, when he brawls with his hands, he kind of gets a little wild, leaving himself exposed. And, I think that he kind of likes that. I think that he likes getting in that wild exchanges, and he's that type of guy to take one to get one. So he definitely has some big power. And, against the cage, if he get that tie clinch, he'll let some brutal knees, and he really, digs into him. And, I saw him put someone out with some real brutal knees. He also had a real nice step-in elbow KO that I saw. And, his kicks to the body, his front kicks to the body, round kicks to the body, he really, attacks the body well. He's much better moving forward than backwards, though. Unlike Zabit, he's not as good moving backwards. For him, I think he needs to try to stay off the fence, try to stay technical, try to stay in the middle of the pocket and actually back Zabit up with his kicks. Try to not box with him, because I think if he does try to box with Zabit, he's going to get knocked the fuck out. So, try to stay on the end of his kicks. Shaman is definitely no joke. But I think Zabit should be able to use his jab, kicks, stay on the outside, just be more explosive, exploding in, actually has the reach advantage himself as well. So, I think he'll be able to keep his back off the cage where Shaman does his best work. And, I think it's going to be, it's not going to be a brawl at all. I think Zabit's going to keep it technical. I think he's going to actually, prove to be the much better striker in this matchup. And I think he's actually going to pick Shaman apart later on. I think maybe the first round will be a competitive round, and then after that, I think Zabit will start to figure him out. I think he'll start to get the tie beat, and I actually think Zabit will get a TKO in the third round, finishing him. So that's a real nice fight, though, man. It's a real, interesting, fun fight, and this is a pretty decent card. A lot of people are shitting on the card, but, this next fight as well, Alex Garcia against Muslim Salikov. This is another fight that's, everyone's been waiting for Salikov's entrance into the UFC. He's 185-13 as a kickboxer, which, is an incredible record, and he's only been KO'd or TKO'd one time in kickboxing and never in MMA. So he definitely has to have an extremely good chin, for that to happen, and good defense as well. And this guy just has some fucking brutal body kicks, man, brutal spinning kicks. He landed a nice spinning kick to the chin at Ivan George that just left him fucking. He was really sprawled out there on the ground for a long time, man. That really hurt him. Same thing with Melvin Gillard. He does a good job of, he'll hit the spinning body kick to the body and then go right up to the head, So he kind of gets you to bring your hands down, then he goes up. He does that as well with his hands. With the right hand, he'll go to the body, then go overhand right and land that and knock you out with it. So I think that's one of his strategies that he uses. He attacks to the body well, and especially with that right hand and with the kicks to the body. And his boxing is no joke either, man. He has a ruthless uppercut with huge power, and he sleeps people with counters. Great right hand counter. I don't know, man. You gotta wonder. The only thing that you gotta wonder about this guy is his takedown defense, man. And because I did watch him fight one fight in the regional scene where he got taken down and submitted, and it looked like he had nothing off of his back. So that was a little bit eye raising, a little bit hard to see, especially against a guy like Alex Garcia, who definitely has the ability to take it down. So it's interesting, but Alex Garcia is a guy that definitely gasses, so I don't think that the fact that, Solikov's fights have all been quick finishes will be much of a problem there. I think that he'll be able to keep the cardio, and not keep the cardio, but keep pace with Alex Garcia. So, but his last 9 fights have been finished in less than 4 minutes, all by KO. So, and 4 of those have been spinning kick KOs, so this guy brings the heat, man. And Alex Garcia is a tri-star vet. He's fought in the UFC a bunch of times. He's a compact athlete, has some pretty good takedowns. He likes to, he has to get on the inside and, land his big overhands. That's really all the striking he has. On the outside, he's really, not very good just because his reach really hinders him, and he gets teed off on, and he doesn't have the best defense, and he definitely lacks a lot of cardio, and but he does have some explosive slams, man, and some takedowns, and that's what makes this fight interesting, because if he can get Salikov down, then what's going to happen there, that's something to be seen, but I just don't see it, man. I think this is a perfect fight for Salikov. I think he's going to be able to keep the distance. I think that, with his wushu background, he at least will be decent to above average at, takedowns defending. I think he'll at least be able to defend a couple. And, I actually think when he's going to be picking Garcia apart from the outside, landed some shots, I think Garcia's going to get frustrated, trying to come inside with a big blitz in the first round. I think he's going to get KO'd with an overhand right. And I think Muslim's going to knock him out the first round with an overhand right. And this next fight, we have Guag Wag against Alex Caceres. And, this is actually a really fun fight. Alex Caceres is a guy who's hit or miss, man. When he comes to fight, when he comes to show up, he's a beast, man. He comes and he really can have some really good performances in the cage. He's a long fighter. He has some real nice kicks, and when he gets in that rhythm, man, he could just, start loading on you. He gets you on your back foot like he did against Rolando Dye, and he really looks like a dynamic striker. He can start to put a show on you, and he has great cardio, man, to keep that up. He could definitely keep up his spinning shit through all 3 rounds, and no problem, and he, moving backwards, I think that he does struggle, though. When you can get him to move backwards, then that's when he starts to gas. And once he starts to gas, that's when he leaves more openings on the feet. And he can't be hit, and dropped. And he does have some pretty good wins, like his win over Sergio Pettis. But I think a lot of his wins come when he's the bigger man, When he's smaller and he doesn't have the significant reach advantage, I think that it's hard for him to get his rhythm on the feet, because I think that he really does not like that pressure, man. Like when people get in his face, when people make it ugly, push him against the cage, grind on him a little bit like Jason Knight did, he just can't handle that. He got, really dominated by Jason Knight and submitted, man. And he does have steadily improvement on the ground game, and he he has a good heart, and he has a good spirit, good mind, where he has kind of that, no, never say die attitude. He, kind of laissez-faire, where he already seems to, be ready with the, like, he knows that he could lose and he could win, and he comes in with the mindset that he's a martial artist. He's coming to show his skills. He's coming to, put on a show for the fans, and, that's what he does, man. Even though he's very inconsistent, he is a fan favorite because he puts it out there for the fans, and he goes for finishes against Cole Miller, man. He looked like a beast in that fight. He was landing a lot of slam takedowns, and, I just think Cole Miller just isn't the athlete to be in there with him, but, so yeah, I think that he definitely needs distance, though, to get in his rhythm. And Wog is a very explosive and aggressive fighter, with huge power in his hands. And he has that killer instinct, man. He goes for the takedowns. He has some good ground and pound, and he has some pretty good wins. He beat Shane Young. He's beaten Aliar Sakharov, who's another Russian who's has a record of 31-5, and he's definitely a finisher. 19-1 record. So he's one of the best fighters in Asia, man. He's one of the best fighters in China, and sometimes he does is low output, and he can let his opponents get in a rhythm, which is something he cannot do against Bruce Leroy, man. If he lets Bruce Leroy start to get comfortable at a distance against him, man, he will get teed off on. But I just think that Wog is, going to be able to close that distance. I think he's going to make it ugly. I think he's going to push him against the cage, go for takedowns, things like that. And I actually think that he's going to, really bother Caceres with that pressure, man. And I think he's going to be able to get him down to that third round and finish him with ground and pound. So I'm going to go with Wog in this one for the win. And in the next fight, we have Li Jingliang, who's probably the best Chinese fighter of all time, a very exciting fighter. Comes to bang, and he's fighting against Zach Otto, who, Zach Otto is basically the exact opposite, man. He's someone that likes to come in and weasel out decisions, man. He's kind of, been like that in his UFC career. All three of his fights are split decisions. He has 2 wins, and, he's a switch stance fighter. So is Li Jingliang, so I think they'll both be ready to, see the switching of stances and be able to adapt. And, Zach Otto does throw some strong leg kicks, and he has some hooks and straight punches, and he uses his footwork well, and, he's able to, get hit and not get hit. And he's composed, he's calm, he's patient in there. So is his cornerman. I was really impressed by his corner. They were very patient and very calm, very calm demeanor, telling him exactly what to do. So he, is sloppy in the pocket. He can get hit with a lot of overhands. He was hit with some real obvious and sloppy overhands by Sergio Moraes. And, he was predominantly a striker before he came to the UFC. And, since he's been in the UFC, he's been, being a striker, man. And he's been having some pretty good success with it, man. He has a straight lead hand that he uses. He's been using his lead hand a lot better now, that left hand. And, he's able to, land the right hand over the top with that. And, he's really gotten better doing that. And he's gotten better at, getting taken down or getting single leg takedowns. And on top, he really isn't very active, though, in my opinion. He doesn't really keep people down very well. And he hasn't been able to implement his grappling that well in the UFC yet. And he's fighting every single time when he fights, he also gets taken down as well. So it really is hard to tell, how great his takedown defense is. And, in a lot of his fights, he was actually held down on the ground, which was, kind of hard to see. He wasn't very offensive, but he was, good at, keeping the posture, not getting hit with big shots. And, he was getting up a little bit better in his last fight, but in that fight against Josh Berkman, man, when Josh Berkman took him down, he was able to hold him down pretty easily. And, Jingliang is a guy who I think is definitely going to have the hand speed advantage, and he has nice combos, and he throws a nice jab, and when he gets in that rhythm, man, he really starts moving that head and getting aggressive, landing some big shots, and, he really can be fun to watch. He's improved his sprawls, and he's getting a lot better at, just not try to engage in the grappling situations. I think in the past he was more willing to go for takedowns himself, willing to put himself, in the fire. And now he's just kind of pushing away, getting open. But one thing about him is he does have a very open style. That fun style that I've talked about. It leaves him open to get hit. And in his last 2 fights, he has been dropped by Bobby Dash and Frank Camacho. And you got to wonder, like, how long that chin's going to be able to last. But he does have a very good chin, and he actually has some tremendous cardio, man. He usually, like I said, gets hurt in that first round. But then by the end of that third round, he's either, stopping you like he did against Bobby Dash or really putting it on you like he did against Frank Camacho. And, he has a real nice straight left hand. And I just think that he's going to be able to land the bigger, stronger shots against Zach Otto. I think Zach Otto is... too patient, too calm against a guy like Li Jingliang. I think Li's going to be in his face. I think he's going to land some explosive shots, and I think he's going to be able to get a win here in front of his Chinese crowd. And now, so we're on to the main event, man, and it's Michael Bisping against Kelvin Gastelum. And, this is a crazy fight, man. Who would have thought Michael Bisping's fighting again, 3 weeks later? Pretty crazy, man, And he's fighting against Kelvin Gastelum, who's a terrible matchup for him, in my opinion, Bisping is a volume striker, great cardio. He kind of beats you by accumulation, but recently has shown improved power, knocking out Luke Rockhold with the left, knocking down Anderson Silva multiple times with the left hand, left hook Larry. But he hasn't, been known for his huge power over his career. He's been known for his, death by accumulation per se. And, who knows, man? He's not chinny. He usually has a great chin, but, after getting dropped 3 weeks ago, that's definitely something you have to wonder. And he's not the type of guy that's going to grind on Kelvin. He's not going to use his size. And that's something that I think Kelvin struggled with in all of his losses. He struggled with that against Tyron Woodley. He struggled with it against Chris Weidman as well. And, Bisping isn't the type of guy that's going to out-wrestle you. He's not going to out-wrestle Kelvin. And I think Kelvin is a more accurate boxer, man. I think he has better hand speed as well. And I just think he's going to be able to land with power, man. I think he's going to be able to keep the same cardio as Bisping. I don't think Bisping's going to be able to use that pace and wear him down. And, I think Gastelum's not going to fear that grappling at all, and he's going to be able to come in, and he's going to be able to land some big shots, man. I think he's going to hurt Bisping in that first round, and I actually think he's going to be able to get him out of there in that second round, man. And, I just also wonder about Bisping's motivation here. Why is he fighting this? I've heard him say to get 2 paychecks at once. He's retiring in March, so I just think Kelvin's going to be the, younger, hungrier fighter, and I think he's going to get it done. So that's going to be it for this week, guys. And so hopefully we'll do well, and like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week. I'll be back next week. I'm going to do both events. I'm going to try to do the best I can with that December 1st event. I know they're going to be, releasing the matchups real late for that. So it's the Ultimate Fighter, but I'm going to get these videos out here for you, and like I said, we're 43 out of 61 for our first 5 events, so let's keep that going. That's 70%, and, I'm feeling pretty good, man. So hopefully you guys have been watching. Stick along, and like I said, subscribe, and have a good one.